Al pie del Ávila majestuoso, a 920 metros sobre el nivel del mar, en un valle de verde geografía que se abre de este a oeste, surge Caracas, la capital de Venezuela.
And now, our feature presentation.
You are watching a master at work.
Go get some!
What's going on, fellas? My name is Rafael Chacinas Nuez, el Capitán Rafucho, and welcome to another episode of Straight Outta Nation, because right now it is Monday, beginning of the week right now. And here it is, folks, because I understand this is the beginning of the week, but here we are at another episode of Straight Outta Nation, because not only we can talk about Raiders, the only one nation Raiders, but also we can talk about the NFL, college football, college basketball, and of course, NBA. And make sure to subscribe to Capitán Rafucho on YouTube. Also, you can follow me on different social media. Twitter is known as @Capitán Rafucho. On Instagram, Kick, and TikTok @Capitán Rafucho 93. And of course, if you want to help and support the stream, this platform, you can make a donation by Cash App, Venmo, or PayPal. All financial help is welcome. Now here we are in another episode of Straight Outta Nation, but I'm not alone because we have a special guest to recap Las Vegas Raiders versus Philadelphia Eagles. You might know as part of the team of Raiders War Room along with AO5 and Protect the Shields. So right now, let's give it up for a warm welcome to our special guest because we got some topics coming up there. Fernando Mendoza, Raiders versus Eagles, and of course, the future of Raiders, including Pete Carroll. So let's give him a warm welcome to our special guest, Severe Raider. So right now, how's it going, Severe Raider? How's it going this Monday?
Nah, man, I'm doing all right. Doing better than the Raiders are. Yeah, I'll tell you that much right now, man. I'm doing better than them.
Yeah, I know that I got the soundboard coming out there. All right, so I understand that between for Las Vegas Raiders versus Philadelphia Eagles, it wasn't a good game because I'm just really surprised that it was the same game between Las Vegas Raiders versus Kansas City Chiefs.
Yeah.
No points.
Yeah.
And they have like the fewest yards coming up there since 1961. But I don't really think it's gonna happen between for this one. So I'm gonna share all about for the screen coming up there because I understand between for like all the production coming up there, and it seems like there has so many important points that are coming to this right now. So I just wanted to check out for like the overview with the train for like over the this right now.
Yeah.
All right, so let's just share the screen right now, and I just wanted to tell you for any reason that just kind of talking about. All right, so let's just see about like the passing of Las Vegas Raiders because Kenny Pickett had 74 yards, and for the rushing they have Aston Genty with 35, Kenny Pickett with 7, then a lot with 4. Also in receiving, they have Brock Bowers 28, Jack Bedge 17, also Tyler Lockett 10, Aston Genty with 7, Raheem Mostert. So I just wanted to tell you, between for like the poor production of wide receivers and of course the running backs, it still really affected that team because not many players had an amazing performance, but the poor production and of course those yards still affecting not only for the offense of the Las Vegas Raiders, but of course it's just like a wake-up call to do something anything better.
Yeah, man. It's it was one of the worst offensive games I've ever seen in my life. I think it's one of the fastest games in history. Like the game was like 2 hours, and we couldn't do anything offensively. I think we only got 7 first downs the entire game. The Eagles, I think they were 10 for 30, or no, they were. I forgot what I think they were 27 for 30, something like that. But it was just a pitiful offensive performance, But that's what we've been used to this year, right? Outside of the Patriots game, I guess you can kind of say that the Bears game and the Jags games, like we really haven't been able to put up points with any kind of consistency or regularity, right? So, we put a lot of blame on the offensive coordinator Chip Kelly, but then you start asking people who actually like studied the game and who have game planned against Chip Kelly and Pete Carroll in the past, and they say essentially we've been running Pete Carroll's offense for most of the season. So, this kind of falls at his lap right now because we haven't been able to produce offensively, like I said, outside of those 3 games, man. And that is not the expectation that most people came into the season with.
Yeah, I mean, exactly. But I understand that they have like a poor receiving, but also they have fumbles, defense. And I look at this one because Damian White has total solo sacks between 17, 9, and of course 2. And I mean, of all around for the offense and the defense, it doesn't really improve at all because we've been seeing like this before. I mean, including for the game against Philadelphia Eagles, because we all know between for the shortest game in NFL history, we just saw Jalen Hurts, Saquon Barkley. But comparing all of this right now, it seems like the defense is still like they still had all of the same. I mean, they're about to breaking it down for like the effort for Mets, no matter the scoreboard or the record. It seems like it was very fortunate like they have Mets and Silver and Black, but they're really tired to see who's gonna had to do. But the defense edge is the second most valuable position of the game. Luckily, he wants to be like at the Raiders for life, but I mean, it's not about sack numbers. He just completely changed the way that the offense is really seen. In some games, he constantly get triple team. I mean, if you look at the Bears game between Las Vegas Raiders versus Chicago Bears, is a good example how he can take over the game when he left alone. You can him like at the stuff for like defensive line or defense will jump like at a 5-10 rank sensitively. But I understand how they're gonna really understand about for the defense mathematically, because I understand that it's kind of like, man, they have some grades coming up there, and between for like because Kenny Pickett didn't inspire much confidence. I
Yeah.
mean, Trey Tucker is had the second lowest grade of the year, and it's kind of like really dumb. But Stone Firstone put his best grade of the year and the second highest of his career. But I'm
Yeah.
not really sure about for like the defense, along with Jeremy Chin, Darren Portier, and they have like the whole worst grade because he has a below 59 before yesterday, and of course for the bottom 10 guard for Gally Ron. I mean, the run blocking seems like it is problem area through like in the stars, and his pass blocking is very solid, but the defense is very dumb. They try it for the first half, but nothing about that because they still like call for the target to try to drop things. But it seems like players like Crosby, Bowers, Tucker would have like a higher grades if the team overall was very competitive. And I'm very sure that Slightly check out the one putting us in much effort with the technique and craft.
Yeah. I mean, it's difficult, you know, for it's difficult for a guy like Brock to really produce because
Mhm.
in the past we've been able to, you know, he was even though he was our best player, he still had a counterpart, right? He had a guy, whether that was,
Yes,
you
it
know, in the
is.
beginning of last year, it was Devontae and Jacoby, and then toward the end of the year, right, it was Jacoby. Even in the first game, you see when we were cooking, you know, against the Patriots, who else had a really good game, right? It was Jacoby Myers. So they were kind of able to play off each other because you had to worry about two targets. But now the Raiders don't really have to. I mean, no, now teams that are playing the Raiders, they don't have to worry about two targets. They just really only have to worry about Brock. They're not too concerned with Trey Tucker beating them. They're for damn sure not worried about Jack Best beating them.
Mhm.
You know, Dante Thornton, they're not worried about him. They're not worried about Michael Mayer. They're not worried about any of these other guys. So now Brock Bowers is getting basically their whole attention, and so it's tough to produce under those circumstances. And you know, so and then our offensive line isn't great, so you know it's kind of hard to get the run game going. And Genty isn't a guy that can create for himself. He needs he kind of needs the table set for him, right? He's not one of those guys that is going to, you know, set up blockers or you know shake three people and you know turn on the Jets and go the distance. Like that's not his game. So like we really don't have anybody that's going to really like take the attention away and make the game easier. Like we don't have that number one guy, and so when you don't have that, you know, like the game gets really difficult, and that goes for whether it's Geno Smith under center or Kenny Pickett.
Yeah, I completely agree with that. And of course, we can remove this because right now let's talk about like the stats coming up there. And of course, we got another topic coming at you because I understand that between for like even over the last few days, we didn't see like a pretty much about the coach and the locker room because there's a lot of rumors coming up there. The locker room is not very happy about the playbook and of course the coaching style of Pete Carroll because it seems like almost for the players had given up. That was very clear. And after the press conference that he gave Pete Carroll, I mean, they're still buying it. I mean, they're still probably could have different, but I think it's gonna be like really worst. I mean, if we have a like terrible online and we had some terrible coaches, I mean, it is still got a lot of job to do, but don't forget whose fault it is. I mean, it took a lot of years to mismanage it to get here, and I think between the disconnection between for the players in the locker room, including for the coach, I mean, it seems like the comparisons because if you remember between for like 2023 season and of course the first year that Antonio Pierce came here as a first time head coaching, I mean that was really different. But it seems like the locker room along with Pete Carroll, I mean those things are really changed, but he's not like the perfect answer because I understand that Geno Smith sucks because he has poor accuracy, but it seems like the locker room doesn't have to really express it about like the failure and the experiment of Pete Carroll because I understand he got a lot of experience and he won a Super Bowl along with Seattle Seahawks. Now he's right there with Las Vegas Raiders. It seems like things are getting out of the control because for the coach, because I know that I have like they've been struggling for a lot, but they don't give us like a change in the course. They don't give it like changing the whole culture. Because when he was saying, when the guys are new, you can see the talent, but all the assignments and all the little things and the detailed stuff and the young guys, that's what his parents are saying, they're bringing to say. But when you go like at a team that has only 2 wins and 12 losses, and the Barons that are missing assignments, because they just really should have players the rookie before this, because if it didn't pass like the fucking halfway point, I mean, nobody decides it. I mean, at this point, what their stars are doing or not doing it, I think it's really time to get the youth some full game experience.
Yeah. Yeah, I mean, this last game, obviously, we saw a lot more Caleb Rogers and a lot more Darren Porter. And unfortunately, both of those guys struggled. They struggled mightily. But that is something that should have been taking place, a long time ago. We should have been working those guys in a long time ago. That way, at this point, they would have already been through like the growing pains phase. Right now, they're getting baptized by fire. They're getting everything thrown at them at one time. And it's difficult. Right? It's difficult for those guys to manage it all right now. But if they had been getting more exposure and more playing time in real NFL games earlier in the season, they would have been a lot more used to it. And they would have been acclimated to it by now. That's what the issue is with Pete Carroll, is that he's such a win now guy. But at what point do you say, you know what? Like maybe my best course of action to win is playing these young guys. Like maybe that is the avenue to win. Because like the veterans that he handpicked and he chose, obviously those guys weren't getting it done. They did a lot when they came in here, and they moved guys' positions, and they let valuable free agents go, and they signed other guys via free agency, and then they traded for Geno, and then they traded for Kenny Pickett, and they did all of this. But none of the guys that they handpicked and hand selected, none of those guys are doing the job, right? None of those veteran guys are doing the job. So at some point, you can't keep doing the same thing over and over again. You got to switch it up. And, the part that's the most concerning is that they put this team together and they thought this team could be competitive, right? They legitimately thought this team could be a competitive team. And, like anybody that was taking an unbiased look at this team before the season would have told you this is not a high upper echelon team, right? It's going to be like a middle of the pack or bottom of the pack type team while they develop, which is fine. But you have to take the time to understand that and then position yourself to have success in the future instead of trying to win games now. And he just hadn't been able to do that until recently.
I mean, that is right. Because it's all about consensusly. Because we've been seeing a lot of things worse coming out there for the last 4 seasons. Because after John Gruden was out, now there was Rich Biscaccia. And then there becomes an experiment between Josh McDaniels and Dave Ziegler. Didn't work. Now they got Antonio Pierce back in the 2023. It really worked out, but it seems like they didn't have like the guts to go to the playoffs and give us the hope. And then there was an experiment between Antonio Pierce and Tom Telesco. Didn't work. But it seems like between John Spytek and Pete Carroll, it seems like one general manager, he's doing the job because he just drafted one of the best running plays, the running backs, which is Aston Gentry for Boise State. And then he just helped it a lot with the right receiver, of course, with the defense and the offense. It seems like they're very clear. But I don't think that for this season, I don't think that Pete Carroll is going to be like the answer, because I know that for the playbook and, of course, his collaboration along with Chip Kelly as the offensive lineman, as an offensive coordinator, I mean, it doesn't seem like very right. And we've been seeing like anything worse. I mean, for Chip Kelly, Pete Carroll, it's just like a recipe for disaster. And I'm very glad that Chip Kelly was gone, because it seems like the playbook, it just seems like the playbook for Chip Kelly is only work at college football. But in this NFL style, I mean, it doesn't really work at all. And that's one of those reasons that we just keep it a loss, because they have something like this connection, but also they don't have like much discipline, much energy, because we've been struggling a lot. It seemed like today in this season, the defense and the offense didn't work very good, because it seems like Pete Carroll, it's not going to be like the answer as a head coach.
Yeah, I mean, the issue that we have is that Pete Carroll was involved in everything, right? Like Pete Carroll, he was involved in the offense, changing the offense around. So we never really gave Chip Kelly's offensive scheme a chance because Pete Carroll started inserting himself into the offense very early on. And then obviously he had a heavy influence on us defensively. That's why we're running so much cover three, and that's why we're so predictable. Then I think he had a heavy influence on the draft as well, with drafting a running back, in the first round, right? Was supposed to be one of the deepest running back classes of all time. Where there was like
Exactly.
starters in the third, fourth, fifth rounds, right? There's Kyle Monangai is a seventh round guy who's having success, and this team needed a lot of help. Running back was one of those needs, but they had greater needs elsewhere. So, for them to prioritize drafting a running back early in the draft, that kind of set them on a path to lose value in those other positions because the position that had the most value in the draft was running back. So why would you take that position first when there were guys that were good and you can get production out of later on? So and that looks to me like, you see a flashy name, you see a guy that on the front pages, and he was a Heisman finalist, and obviously Pete Carroll, he compared him to Marshawn. So Pete Carroll was trying to recapture that success that he had with the Seahawks here with the Raiders. But man, you got to reinvent yourself. You can't do it the same way again. You got to find a new way to do it. And it seems like he just keeps trying to grasp toward those ghosts of the past instead of looking toward the future. Like past wins does not guarantee you future success. And I think he never really understood that. He just assumed his way is going to work no matter the time, no matter the place. And that's not the case. And if you don't evolve in the NFL, like you're gonna end up like we are right now, a team that's going to probably likely finish the season with 2 wins. And we didn't pay Pete Carroll $15 million this year, paid Chip Kelly $6 million. Like, so that's money down the drain. Like we could have paid Antonio Pierce like way less money and achieved similar results, if anything, right? I would argue that we might have even gotten better results if we kept him as a head coach. Right. So like we're in a tough spot right now. The reports are saying that Pete Carroll and the Raiders, they might be headed toward a divorce at the end of the season where instead of having to fire him, Pete Carroll decides to retire. And I think that is the best thing for both parties, in everything amicably. Pete Carroll walks away with whatever dignity he has left, and the Raiders are able to hit the reset button and hopefully bring a new young head coach in to kind of try to clean up this mess that's been made by the past several regimes.
Yeah, it is right. All right, so let's move on to another topic because I understand that we can talk about like the quarterback that we needed for. Yeah, it is going off the head because I understand that Fernando Mendoza, which is the quarterback winner of the Heisman Trophy, so it's going to be like a good fit for Las Vegas Raiders because first and foremost, he had demonstrated sufficient arm strength, mobility, and field vision to be considered as a viable quarterback prospect for the NFL. And what did it do like for the Raiders' needs? Because they were probably in search of quarterback to succeed the current veteran whose tenure has been characterized as polarizing. And it seems like if you see Derek Carr has commended Mendoza, which signers and professional insiders see Mendoza as a legitimate candidate for the NFL readiness and talent integration, because the strengths, strengths, and weakness are not enumerated in the sources, but an endorsement and acknowledgement for experienced players implies the skill set as least recognized in competitive teams, because he has a high fit probability between for the skill, collegiate accolades, project draft status online for the Raiders upon need for a future starting quarterback. I mean, the transition's risk is going to be really major because for college to NFL transition, adapting to speed, consistently of the NFL defense and our locker room dynamics is very uncertain. And the starting value is very significant because acquiring Mendoza, which is a true winner, which is the current winner of the Heisman Trophy, could buy cost-effective quarterback talent and potentially stabilize a position that's been marked for the constantly and high expenditure. Because I understand that Fernando Mendoza appears to be like a strong fit for Las Vegas Raiders. And also there is a lot of quarterbacks, which is Diego Pavia. Also there is Jeremiah Love, but he can be like a potential long-term quarterback solution. Well, the ultimate NFL success is uncertain, they're suggesting cannot be aligned with the both tactical strategies required to the franchise, because we've been seeing like a lot drafting quarterbacks, and of course, because I heard after Derek Carr was gone, everybody think that after Derek Carr is gone, they'll be really good. But also the experiment has been really failed for a lot, because if you imagine this, Jimmy Garoppolo, also there is Geno Smith, Gardner Minshew, also there is Aiden O'Connell, also there's Kenny Pickett. And I think it's time to draft a real quarterback whose arm technique is gonna be really good, because they've been watching that he's mobile, he can run, but it seems like he makes a decision late. He would have a chance to be having a shaking online. It is being like a good prototype, because Evans, he is big, is strong, can move, make all the draws in his clutch. He doesn't get rattled. He's a leader and plays well with good teams. Everyone says he's a hard worker, but makes sense that he went like a 2-star guy with no defensive one offers and a Heisman Trophy. He put on the word, because he might be not a generational prospect like Joe Burrow, but he'd be like at a top 5 in any draft of the last decade. And I understand we got over for the top 3 of the draft 2026. So we might be get choose by Fernando Mendoza, or there's gonna be like another quarterback. But a lot of persons, they want to see Fernando Mendoza wearing the silver and black, because I understand he can improve at running because he has this functional speed. Good high, he's very good at the post snap reads, taking advantage of the coverage and finding the open man. So what we need it for? Because if we need to look at the quarterback, we had to invest only one quarterback, and the rest of the cap space we can invest on an offense and defense.
Yeah, man. Fernando Mendoza is a guy that's been steadily rising up draft boards all year long. I like Fernando Mendoza. I think Fernando Mendoza is a very safe pick. I think he has a good enough arm to be very successful in the NFL. He's not really a runner, but he's a guy that can hurt you with his legs if you give him the opportunity to. He's a very intelligent guy, as evidenced by him going to Berkeley, right? Like that's a smart guy school, and you just hear him talk. You hear him speak about the game, and his recall is amazing. Like so his ability to retain knowledge and to learn the playbook, I think that's going to be at a very high level. Now, obviously, he does have some athletic limitations, but you know what? Like I think at the worst, you get a pretty good to solid NFL quarterback, and if he's able to reach his potential, you get a guy that could potentially be the franchise guy and lead you into the future. So, if you're looking for a really safe pick, I think Fernando Mendoza is the guy to go with. Now my guy who I've been a fan of, for years now, I like Dante Moore. He's a guy that is from Oregon. He's a little bit younger, a little bit more physically gifted. I don't think he's as polished as Fernando Mendoza is, obviously. So, that's the big difference there. So he's a little bit of a riskier prospect because, he's not quite as pro ready as Fernando Mendoza is. So Fernando Mendoza can walk into the NFL, tomorrow and be your starter. Dante Moore is a guy that he's only 20 years old. He probably still needs a little bit of time to develop. He hasn't even hit his grown man, body and phase yet, right? He doesn't even have his grown man strength yet. So he's a guy that if you project, he's going to get bigger, he's going to get stronger, he's going to probably get faster. So the potential is there, but like I said, he's not quite as polished as Fernando Mendoza, and he doesn't have those starts under his belt like Fernando Mendoza has at 2 schools. So that's a little bit of a risk there. Like he's a higher reward if he reaches his potential, but he's also a higher risk. While Fernando Mendoza is a little bit of a lower ceiling, but a higher floor as well. So it just depends on what the organization is looking for.
I mean, I agree with that. And people were really happy with Moore because this is exactly what they wanted to about for the quarterback class of 2026, 2025, because they're looking for dual threat ability to perform under pressure, winner and transfer prospect. Because if you're talking about Dante Moore from Oregon, he made like all the right decisions, running the ball, which is made a great job, moving through the progression. I mean, he carries all the tributes. I mean, I can see like it'll be on under pressure and can execute. I mean, he looks very silent in frame. I mean, it's happening with Oregon because when he flipped his commitment to Oregon to Cal, when he realized he's gonna got to star over like some of the quarterbacks, but I think that he can play taking coaching well in the same place. He can really a smart quarterback that have a great influence. I think it's gonna be like the perfect guy to mentor before giving it a shot because he's gonna be like the answer, but also it's not the only one that's gonna really help out for the quarterback prospect. But I don't think there's gonna be like too much if they're gonna have to do about it. As long as we get Mendoza or more, I mean, that'll be good enough. But there's also like the simple rule to end the nightmare: take the quarterback first round, lineman all others every year going forward, because it's not gonna be like a bad place to be. Because I feel that realistically, if they want to keep drafting quarterbacks until you're gonna hit on one, because they never can ignore the position consistently and just really hope that they're gonna draft every decade pans out, because they're gonna be like two different tiers. Mendoza is definitely like the price, but if you want to win or two that end up with more, it's not gonna be like the end of the war. Just like more the project. Honestly, drafting quarterbacks is just like a sort of coin flip, but it seems like reticently because no one knows anything for certain. If we want to take a shot, it would happen to whoever we draft. I mean, it's gonna be like in between for Mendoza or more because it's the hardest position to predict. Only one even close to this corner because some people that had no idea what's going on with the head is the locker room, but they've actually had a method to predict him to success. It's gonna be very accurate.
Yeah. Yeah. Every pick is, ideally you get your quarterback round one. If you look at most of the teams in the playoffs, you know, most of those teams that are going to the playoffs or were in the playoffs, if you look at just the past few years, right? Most of the quarterbacks that have gone to the playoffs have been guys that were drafted in the first round. Outside of Jalen Hurts and Brock Purdy and Dak Prescott, like just about all those other guys are first round picks. So it's tough. It's a tough league, and usually quarterbacks are drafted early. They're overdrafted. So if you don't get a guy in the first round, you're probably not going to get a guy that's really that really has the ceiling or really can carry your franchise. But just if we don't take the guy with our first pick, doesn't mean we
Mhm.
can't get a guy later on. If you look at what the Giants did, right? They drafted the best player on the board according to them, who some people thought was the best player in the draft, and Abdul Carter. But what did they do after that? They saw a quarterback that they had targeted that they really felt good about falling down into the lower 20s. So then they traded up and was able to acquire that guy right there. So then they had a guy that they thought was a fixture on their defense and a guy that they thought could be a fixture on their offense. So if you do your homework and you set your board correctly and do the correct scouting, not only on the prospects, but if you see and understand what the other NFL teams are thinking about certain guys, then that allows you to kind of manipulate the draft. And they walked away with two guys that they're going to be cornerstones for their franchise for a long time. So like sometimes you get lucky like that, but you got to play your cards right.
I mean, that is right. That is right. All right. So, ladies and gentlemen, we got the last topic of the evening on this late night Monday with our special guest, Javier Raid. All right. So, between not only Las Vegas Raiders that just lost, but I understand there's a lot of teams because it's been like a crazy Sunday NFL because Kansas City Chiefs got eliminated. Also, they got the terrifying news of Patrick Mahomes with the torn ACL, even
Yeah.
not able to play for the rest of the season. But also, the Buffalo Bills win against New England Patriots, and of course, Dallas Cowboys once again got eliminated. I mean, it's like a crazy Sunday at the NFL because we've been seeing like the Chiefs dynasty is getting over because not only they just lost the Super Bowl against Philadelphia Eagles, but also it's like the first time the Kansas City Chiefs they missed the playoffs for the first time in 11 years.
Yeah.
And it seems like there's a crazy Sunday to the NFL because not only we just lost, but also we've been seeing like a lot of teams going up for the competition, and there is like a new teams coming up there for the competition for the Super Bowl. Also, there is a lot of defense coming up there. I mean, there are strong competitors to get involved with the Super Bowl, which is in San Francisco.
Yeah. Yeah, man. It was a really rough weekend, man. Obviously, we saw Patrick Mahomes, he tore his ACL. I think Michael Parsons, he tore his ACL as well. Devontae Adams, I think he popped a hamstring. So a lot of guys getting hurt. You already talked about the Chiefs not making the playoffs. What's crazy is that I think
Mm,
every year that he's been the starter, um, Patrick Mahomes has gone to the AFC Championship game at least, either the Super Bowl or AFC Championship game. So, and he's won the AFC West every year as well. So, for them not to win the AFC West and not even make the playoffs, that's crazy. Obviously, Green Bay losing Michael Parsons, they gave up a lot to get that guy. He was kind of their closer late in games. So for him not to be there, that's going to be rough for them. The Patriots losing to the Bills, I mean, that means that the AFC East is still open. The Bills can still win it. They're still in it. Now, obviously, I think the Patriots only need to win one more game to keep that from happening. But, like the door is still open. The door is still cracked for the Bills to come in there and steal it. So, that's crazy. Because like who would have thought the Patriots would be here after they were picking, I think, sixth overall, or I don't remember right, maybe it's higher than that. Maybe it's third overall, but they were picking very high in this last draft, and now they went. Yeah, it had to be third because we were sixth. So I think they were picking third overall. So they went from being third overall pick to a team that's about to win the division. I think they were number one seed in the AFC. So if you make the right decisions and make the right moves, you can do a lot in a single offseason. Obviously, you don't want to put all your eggs in one basket and take unnecessary risk. But if you take calculated risk, then you can have a quick turnaround. And I think the Raiders are looking to duplicate what a team like that is doing this year.
I mean, it's right. I mean, it's right because I know it has been like a crazy Sunday on the NFL because it seems like between for all those teams that we just saw, because not only about that, and it seems like Chiefs not making it into playoffs for the first time in 11 years. There was a lot of fans celebrating. There was a few fans who are really disappointed, but it seems like this season, this 2025-2026 season, it became so much interesting, but also they have some crazy they got for anything about it. So I know it's something like really does because I know there's a lot of competition coming up for the Super Bowl and of course for the playoffs, but it seems like there are some teams that had a lot of hope if they wanted to build it out for the defense and the offense. Because for us, Las Vegas Raiders, we do a lot of job to do, repair the offensive line, quarterback, wide receivers, and of course the running back. I mean, it's gonna be like the whole thing we had to do during for the offseason. I know that we are eliminated, but we had a lot of job to do. I mean, let's get it happen. I mean, if we want to do something, anything better, let's repair the offensive line, the defensive line, and of course, we had to involve for the running back room, wide receiver room, quarterback, and of course, what's going to happen between for the organization because we've been we've been struggling for a lot of seasons because I understand this organization is being like a down spiral, and a lot of fans it seems like very disappointment. But we had to do like really something. I mean, I understand there are catchphrases committed to excellence and just win, baby, just like the Al Davis said. I mean, it seems like they don't have much, pretty much spark because between for the 70s, the 80s, the 90s, and of course the 2000, and of course it's been 6 years that Oakland Raiders played for the last time in Oakland, California. But they move out to Las Vegas, Nevada. I mean, it seems like they don't have the same energy because if you're a diehard fan and you win all those games at the Oakland Stadium rooting for the Oakland Raiders, the vibe was really different because they had a lot of fans interacting for the players. But it seems like between for the shift to Oakland to Las Vegas, it doesn't seem like very the same. Because if we need to do anything really something, we need to take care. We need to get involved and revive the spirit of Al Davis and John Maiden.
Yeah, man. I mean, you're never going to be able to duplicate or recreate the energy that Oakland brought to the Raiders, right? Because that's the birthplace, that was their home. That was people grew up as Raider fans there, so obviously it was a different kind of feeling there. But people forget. People talk about the attendance in Las Vegas. People forget that there was like I don't know how many years or consecutive games of blackouts where people in Oakland couldn't even watch the game locally because of the blackout rules in the NFL. Because if you didn't get, I think they even had changed the rules, and we still couldn't get. If you didn't get like 75%, it wasn't considered a sellout. And if the game wasn't a sellout, it wasn't televised locally. So remember, the Raiders had to tarp off Mount Davis, and they still had difficulty selling out that stadium with tickets that were way cheaper. So, like we talk a lot about the attendance in the Legion, which is, it's cause for concern. But, people weren't showing up to games in Oakland either. And they weren't showing up to games in Oakland because the team was no good. Like nobody wants to spend their hard-earned money. Money is hard to come by. And nobody wants to spend it on a losing project or for a team they don't feel is, is going to like give them a satisfactory performance on Sundays, man. So, like until we turn that around as an organization and start actually putting out a winning product, nobody's gonna spend their hard-earned money to go watch that team play. So, at this point, it kind of is what it is. So, we're in the driver's seat because we kind of control that, or the Raiders rather, that they control that. So if they do the things that are necessary to build a winning franchise, starting with if you get a franchise quarterback, you're going to put Raider fans in the seats to come watch that guy. So that'll be a hell of a start toward building a fan base in the Las Vegas area, because they're itching for a team to call their own, and the Raiders need to step up to the plate and take a hold of that opportunity.
It is, exactly. All right, so ladies and gentlemen, it's been the end of this episode of Straight Outta Nation. So make sure to subscribe to Capitán Rafucho on YouTube. Also, you can follow me on different social media, as known as Twitter, as X, at Capitán Rafucho, on Instagram, at Capitán Rafucho 93. Also, I just wanted to tell you last thoughts and where the people can find you all over the social media, talking about Raiders, film study, everything. So where can we find this so all the people can see you?
Yeah, man. So, the Severe Raider here on YouTube, my IG, X, TikTok, Snapchat, everywhere, the Severe Raider. I do shows. I do a show Sunday and Wednesday. As you mentioned before, with my guys 805 and Chris from Protect the Shield. And I do a show Tuesdays and Thursdays with Farrell NFL. That's the 50-50 show on Tuesday and Around the Shield on Thursdays. And I usually do my own show. I'm starting to do my own show on Monday nights, man. So just tap in with me. If you haven't done so already, head over to my channel and subscribe. And if you haven't subscribed to Rafa yet, make sure you subscribe to him as well. Hit those notification bells, like the video, hype the video, all that good stuff, man. And, much more to come. Much more to come.
Yeah, and I'm telling, because right now for the next year, 2026, is all about the nation, only one nation. So thank you very much, and I hope you see you there for the next week of Straight Out Nation. Because right now, between for the next week is gonna be like a very good, because it's all about Christmas, having fun with the family and friends, and always blessed up. So God bless you all. Have a good Monday. And of course, I will see you there on another episode of Straight Outta Nation, because not only we're talking about Raiders, but also we can talk about NFL, NBA, college football, college basketball, all in one place, because this is Straight Outta Nation, uniting all the fans of the one nation, which is the Raiders, including those rivals of the NFL, NBA, college football, college basketball. Even he's wearing a hat of the Los Angeles Lakers. Remember, Kobe Bryant, the legendary. Also, there is Shaquille O'Neal. I just wanted to tell you, and I'm wearing this Los Angeles Dodgers, so we can unite it, because it's all about the impact. It's all about culture. It's all about tradition. It's all about everything. So thank you very much, and I hope you see you there next time. Take care.